Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the most gripping true crime stories from around the world. Today, we delve into a chilling case that shook the community of Houston, Texas. In the heart of Houston, Texas, a tale of prosperity and passion would descend into darkness and despair. The narrative of a flourishing marital union can sometimes take a dark turn towards betrayal and sorrow. Clara and David Harris, a prosperous couple in dentistry, seemed to possess everything: a thriving practice, a splendid home, and a loving family. However, concealed beneath the facade were secrets that ultimately led to a disastrous conclusion. Clara Harris, known as Mrs. Columbia Houston, was admired for her grace, achievements, and devotion to her roles as a wife and mother. Initially, her marriage to David, an orthodontist, appeared to be straight out of a fairy tale. Yet, what transpires when trust is shattered within the most intimate bonds? In the summer of 2002, Clara's world was shattered when a private investigator confirmed her worst suspicions. Her husband was engaged in an extramarital affair. This revelation set the stage for a confrontation that not only stunned their community, but also gathered global attention. Was it a crime born of intense emotions or a meticulously planned action? Was a love tale overshadowed by a nightmare? Clara and David Harris were seen as the embodiment of the American dream. Their chain of prosperous dental clinics across Texas afforded them a grand lifestyle, including a sprawling $500,000 mansion in a thriving South Houston suburb and luxurious automobiles. However, their achievements extended beyond their professional realm. Together, they nurtured a lovely family dynamic, with Clara wholeheartedly embracing her role as stepmother to David's daughter Lindsay from a previous marriage, alongside raising their 3-year-old twin sons, Brian and Bradley, born in 1998. Clara, born on February 3, 1958, hailed originally from Columbia, known for her charisma and intellect. Raised by her widowed mother, she pursued dentistry in her homeland before completing her residency at the University of Texas School of Dentistry in Houston, where she was crowned Mrs. Columbia Houston. Portraying her allure and grace, Clara's journey to America in the late 1980s embodied ambition and accomplishment, ultimately leading to her marriage to David, a union that initially promised enduring happiness. Their paths converged in 1991 at the Castle Dental Center, where they shared professional roles. David was captivated, and their romance flourished swiftly, culminating in marriage less than a year after their first encounter, on February 14, 1992. Despite their deep connection, Clara and David encountered the typical challenges inherent in any relationship. However, the revelation of David's affair with his former employee, 39-year-old receptionist Gail Bridges, shattered their illusion of perfection. Unbeknownst to David, Clara's suspicions drove her to enlist the services of a private investigator in July 2002, confirming her worst fears. This disclosure proved devastating for Clara, sparking a chain of events that would ultimately lead to an irreversible tragedy. As she grappled with a consuming suspicion that altered the trajectory of her life, her husband, 44-year-old David Harris, whom she trusted and cherished, appeared to be drifting away, enveloped in an unfamiliar cloak of secrecy. Clara, guided by her intuition sharpened through years of marriage, sensed a disquieting shift in David's behaviour: his frequent late nights at the office, vague responses, and a sudden change in demeanour. These fragments formed a perplexing puzzle that Clara felt compelled to unravel in her pursuit of truth. Taking a pivotal step that would reshape their lives indefinitely, she engaged a private investigator, not motivated by malice, but by a longing for clarity. The investigator's findings delivered a devastating blow, confirming David's affair, leaving Clara reeling with a profound sense of betrayal and disbelief. The revelation pierced her deeply, transcending mere breach of vows. Armed with this painful truth, Clara confronted David, igniting a tumult of emotions, anger, heartbreak, and an urgent quest for answers. Why did David stray? What implications did this hold for their marriage, their family, their future? On July 17th, David admitted his transgression to his wife, while Clara dismissed Bridges from her job. Desperate to salvage their relationship, Clara undertook drastic measures. She altered her appearance, scheduled plastic surgery, and devoted herself to pleasing David in every way. Despite David's promise to end his affair with Gail, he informed Bridges that their marriage was open. July 24th, 2002 was destined to be a day of extraordinary significance for Clara and David Harris, a culmination of love, betrayal, and anguish. Earlier that day, accompanied by her teenage stepdaughter, Clara ventured to confront her husband once more, armed with the painful knowledge of his infidelity. They drove to the Hilton Hotel in Nassau Bay, where they had exchanged vows a decade prior, a poignant setting that would witness the climax of their journey, a whirlwind of complex emotions and events. As David and Gail stepped out of the elevator, Clara and Lindsay entered the hotel lobby, sparking a charged confrontation rife with tension. Pleas, accusations, and heartbreak-laden words filled the air, setting the stage for an unexpected turn of events. Lindsay, overwhelmed with anger, struck her father with her purse, vocally expressing her disdain. Clara, consumed by a surge of emotions, directed her fury towards Bridges, David's mistress, engaging in a physical altercation. In the chaos, David intervened, pushing Clara to the ground, while hotel security swiftly escorted her to her car amid the tumultuous scene. Amidst profound emotional turmoil, Clara, with her enraged stepdaughter by her side, found herself behind the wheel of her Mercedes-Benz, uttering a declaration fueled by raw emotion. "I'm going to hit him." What followed in the ensuing moments blurred into a frantic collision of emotion and motion, ultimately culminating in tragedy. The exact sequence of events remains hazy, but as David and Gail departed the hotel and headed towards Gail's SUV, Clara's vehicle raced towards them, striking David and propelling him 25 feet across the lot. Amidst Lindsay's screams, Clara repeatedly drove over her husband's body before finally halting, stepping out of her car and cradling David's lifeless form in her arms, desperately pleading for him to breathe, her sorrow and regret echoing through the night. The trial of Clara Harris unfolded in a Houston courtroom, where the prosecution depicted a scenario of a calculated act fueled by jealousy and fury. They contended that Clara's actions in the hotel parking lot on that pivotal day were deliberate, extending beyond a mere crime of passion, as she openly admitted her intent to harm David during a police interview. The damning evidence, captured by the private investigator hired by Clara, showed her circling her car around the parking lot multiple times. Conversely, the defense presented an alternate narrative, portraying Clara as a woman pushed to her limits by emotional turmoil and betrayal. They argued that her actions were not premeditated, but rather a consequence of overwhelming distress. However, their attempt to assert that Clara ran over David only once was refuted by a police officer who highlighted another tyre track leading directly to the spot where David's body lay. As witnesses testified, the courtroom became a crucible of conflicting emotions and perspectives. Particularly poignant was the testimony of Clara's teenage stepdaughter, Lindsay, who recounted pleading with Clara to stop the car as she accelerated towards David, declaring, "I'm going to hit him." Lindsay recounted a conversation with her stepmother a week prior, where Clara allegedly expressed, "With all he's done to me, I could kill him and get away with it." Another witness vividly recalled Lindsay's distraught cries as she leapt from the Mercedes, screaming, my dad, you've killed my dad!" Describing the scene as akin to an animal in unbearable agony, the witness observed David Harris gasping for air, mauled by the incident. Clara, visibly emotional, fought back tears during the testimony, steadfastly denying any notion of accidentality when questioned. Opting not to take the stand, Clara's interview was played, wherein she stated, "I didn't want to kill him." She clarified that her intention was to inflict emotional harm on her husband, not physical harm. Clara testified that she never meant to kill David, asserting that her sole aim was to damage Gail's SUV. She claimed to be unaware of running over David, describing the entire ordeal as surreal, akin to a dream, as she drove her Mercedes during the fatal incident. The strain of the trial proved overwhelming, culminating in Clara's attorney collapsing in court, prompting a recess and his subsequent hospitalisation later released. Clara maintained that she was unaware of David's presence when her car struck him. However, the defence struggled to definitively prove that Clara did not run over him multiple times. The prosecution argued that she was fully aware of her actions. The legal battle was intense and intricate, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. The jury faced the challenging task of unravelling the emotions, intentions and actions that culminated in the tragedy. David's brother Gerald described Clara as truthful and credible, emphasising her law-abiding nature. David's mother attested to Clara's deep love for David and her inclusive nature. Following her conviction, Clara expressed a sense of despair, stating, "I pretty much consider my life is over." After extensive deliberation, the jury delivered a verdict, sealing Clara Harris's fate. She was found guilty of murdering her husband and sentenced on February 14th, 2023, coincidentally, the anniversary of her marriage to David. Clara received a 20-year prison term, the most severe penalty based on the jury's determination that she had acted under sudden passion rather than with the intent to murder. Tears welled in Clara's eyes as she was led away, accompanied by a $10,000 fine. She found herself incarcerated at the Mountain View unit in Gatesville, Texas. Clara's high-profile case captured international attention, earning her the moniker the Driller Killer in Houston and becoming the focal point of discussions worldwide. Debates raged, with opinions divided on whether Clara's actions stemmed from calculated malice or were the desperate response of a betrayed woman. Following her trial and subsequent conviction, Clara's life underwent a profound transformation. Once a successful dentist and a figure of public sympathy, she now grappled with the harsh realities of incarceration. However, her story did not end with the trial. Life behind bars presented a stark contrast to her previous world. Despite this, Clara reportedly adapted to her new circumstances, engaging in prison programs and earning a reputation as a model prisoner. She even contributed to Braille conversions of school textbooks for blind students. Clara maintained connections with her family, with her sons, under the care of family friends, visiting her monthly. Throughout her time behind bars, Clara remained fixated on her sons, yearning for a reunion with them. In 2007, she encountered another legal hurdle in Houston, defending herself against a wrongful death lawsuit brought by David's parents. Unlike her previous trial, the jury displayed little sympathy for her perspective, ultimately holding her accountable for $3.75 million in damages. As years passed, the once dominant headline faded from public consciousness. However, Clara's narrative experienced a resurgence with new developments. Denied parole in 2013 and 2016, Clara's fate seemed uncertain until her new parole attorney devised a novel strategy. Bringing her twin sons, they're 19 and studying at Texas universities, to the parole hearing proved pivotal. The twins, having lost both parents, asserted their victimhood, prompting Clara's parole grant in November 2017 after serving 15 years. Clara's release evoked varied reactions, closure for some marking the culmination of a tragic saga, while for others it ignited discourse on the consequences of crime and the essence of justice. Gail Bridges, David's former mistress, now grapples with post-traumatic stress disorder, haunted by flashbacks and nightmares and reliant on medication. She attests that her life has been irreversibly altered since that fateful night. Clara, now 66 years old, found herself destitute upon release, still indebted to her in-laws for $3.75 million. Initially reliant on a friend for accommodation while job hunting, Clara received a request from the organisation overseeing the prison's Braille program to continue her work upon her return to Houston. However, her criminal record bars her from resuming her dental practice, sparking concern about potential social alienation. Despite this, Clara's friends advocate for forgiveness, emphasising her inherent goodness beyond a single regrettable incident. They argue that it's time to grant her the opportunity to move forward. Do you share this perspective? Should Clara have been granted parole? Share your thoughts in the comments below.